Well, Professor, what do you say to those who, from the outside looking in now, who say that, why is it that the governor of Imo State would essentially be demanding that all of his candidates scale through, as if no other prominent members of your party exist, essentially, in Imo State? That why is it that you have the governor, outgoing governor, going into a Senate seat occupied by Senator Hope Uzodimma? He's going to take that seat, then bring his son-in-law to be governor, and potentially have an in-law also, another in-law in the National Assembly. What's your response to those concerns of nepotism?
Well, I think these are mundane issues, if you ask me, with due respect. And without being personal, Onuegbu to my left, with due respect, was my student. He was my law student in the university. Today he's a lawyer, he's my colleague, and I respect him. His wife is a judicial officer in Imo. How does that conflict? And a very fine one at that. In this country, there are people who are at the commanding height of the national judicial leadership in this country that are married to non-politicians. There are governors of this country that have their wives as judicial officers. And I hope you know what that means. The executive arm and the legislative arm live in one bedroom. And nobody's talking about it because it does not in any way hurt. So the fact of conjugal or filial relationship does not impact on the deliverables. What is an issue here is Gumba Uche Nwosu qualified under the laws of this country to hold public office? And the answer is yes.
I think I want to be very clear that we're not conflating issues, because when I ask that question, it's less about a kind of a scenario in which a man who happens to be a minister happens to have a wife who has also built herself up in a legal career and ends up being a judge. There's a difference between that scenario and another scenario in which a man who is very powerful is using his influence to directly prop up members of his own family. And some are saying that Imo State is becoming essentially a family business. What is your response to that?
Now, I ran election as a senatorial candidate, aspirant of the APC. Am I related to the governor? I'm not. I'm not. The governor is not related to me by blood. He's not related to me by marriage. And if you look at those who have aspired in Imo State, none is related to the governor. And the fact that Gumba Uche Nwosu is a product of the consensus of the Imo APC, the larger majority of Imo APC, is a point that must be underscored. The fact that there are the members of the vocal minority are overwhelming the polity, try to create this awful impression that it is unthinkable and cannot happen, it's not right. Remember that Imo is not a recent archaeological find. Imo State is not a recent political discovery. In 2011, I must disclose this here, the gentleman to my left again, we were all in PDP, working with Governor Hakim. When Rochas Okorocha came and defeated us, I was in PDP with him. He was a local government chairman, I was a commissioner in that same Hakim government. In 2015, working with Governor Rochas Okorocha, we defeated the PDP, now led by Senator Hope Uzodimma, whom he's cooperating with. So what has changed in between? We are dealing with the moral majority, the voters in Imo State. What do they want? They are looking for a candidate that will give the party victory, and not for moles that are planted within by PDP to upset the victory chart of the party.
Are you referring to Senator Hope Uzodimma when you refer to PDP moles? Are you referring to Senator Hope Uzodimma as a PDP mole?
I'm not referring to Senator Hope Uzodimma as a PDP mole, but I'm referring to PDP moles in Imo State, and they know themselves.
Okay. What's your response, sir?
Well, immediately I will just say two things. The first is that Professor has admitted coming from PDP, so we don't know who the mole is. But what is essential is that apparently he didn't get your question. The question is, like he said, using the example of the judicial officer. My wife is a judicial officer, but by law, I cannot advocate in my wife's court. That is the checks and balances in the society. In this situation, we have political. The governor is the outgoing governor, and he's seeking to impose, to have a replacement in the person of his first son-in-law, who by Igbo custom is also his own son. Where is the fairness? Where is the morality? Where is the development? So you find out in Imo now, people are interested in stopping the familiocracy more than stopping even zoning arrangement. It has become worse than zoning. If the unfair advantage, the preferred choice of the governor has, as a member of the governor's family, who has been serving in the government since the last 7.5 years, if the society is crying and my friend is saying he's a vocal minority, it is not fair. What is important is that Igbo people want to be rescued.
No, before we go to, no, I have to just come in here because before we go
I just wanted to end to say that
go ahead quickly.
It is not that Ugwumba Ochonwosu may not have a right, does not have a right constitutionally to seek for public office. Absolutely he has. Sure. But at this point that his father-in-law is the outgoing, there is no sense that will make anybody enjoy a fair competition with the governor backing him.
Mr. Onuegbu, let me come in here because before
there are maternal cousins of his also in other offices.
Before we go to Lagos, it's important to note that, look, you have said that essentially that this is what some of the allegations are about, you know, the notion of family business, etc.
Yes.
But that does not take away from the constitutional right of the governorship aspirant and even the current incumbent governor to support his son-in-law. And if he has the support base in Imo State, why should he not be able to mobilize his own legitimate support base behind whoever he pleases?
Yes, he had mobilized and lost, but he doesn't want to accept the loss. After all, in Uganda, Idi Amin had supporters. In Zimbabwe, the Mugabe had supporters till the last day. He still has supporters. But what is important is the wish of the majority. It's not that there won't be a minority. The majority of Imo people are worried that Imo has become like a graveyard. Nobody goes to build a house in a graveyard, despite it seeming being a peaceful place. Nobody goes there.
Mr. Onuegbu,
yes.
At this
So
juncture,
that is what we're agitating.
I'm going to bring in my colleagues from Lagos, where Gimba is standing. Gimba?
I have a question for both gentlemen. I think we could start with the professor in getting this response, because it seems to suggest that your state has lost confidence in the party internal mechanism to resolve this issue, so much so that you have gone, both candidates have gone to court to try to resolve this. Is that the case?
I didn't get the last limb of your question, Gimba.
Is that the case? Because right now it seems to suggest that both candidates have lost confidence in the mechanism, internal mechanism of your party to try to resolve these issues. Is that the case?
Well, what is happening is that we are looking at early warning signs. And preemptive actions are not uncalled for, especially where there is selective justice in Imo, given that those of us who have won our elections on clear-cut democratic mandate have been shortchanged and removed by fiatic and undemocratic means and supplanted by persons who did not win elections. So everybody's afraid. And it is not unnatural, it is not unusual for people to begin to raise early warning signs to say, if you have done this in the past, please don't continue on this tyrannical perspective. So this is exactly what is happening. It's not like anybody has lost confidence in the National Working Committee, but it is that we are worried that some level of injustice have been meted out to those of us. And I said to you, I'm one living example. My seat was taken away from me and now given to Senator Ben Owajimogu because of automatic tickets. At a time I have been made to pay money to the party. They have my money. Nobody has made any refund to me. Nobody has approached me. They were talking about alternative to dispute resolution. Nobody is talking to me. No explanation has been given to me by the National Working Committee in a party where I belong. I've run election and won. So we are worried that this line of action may continue, and this is why it would seem that the party in Imo has lost confidence in the national leadership of the party, unless otherwise proven.